Hello, ladies and gents, and everyone in between. So we are back for our Five Nations playoff. We are about to start our game of Oxford Roller Derby taking on the Manchester Valkyries. I am Stormy on the mic.
And I am Seth.
So we are going to run through our rosters for the skaters that you will see today. So Seth, if you want to run us through Oxford Roller Derby, who will be in the black today?
Yeah, so lining up for Oxford Roller Derby, we have 007 Aphrodite for Destruction, 03 Beeb, 09 Lethal Weapon, 13 Mental Floss, 1300 Gill, 1411 Tough, 21 Eagle, 217 Oyu, 22 Skelly, 247 Filth, 2718 Liz and Let Die, 333 Dread Ditto, 359 Fox, 36 Stormy, not the one next to me, 451 Thembo Party Killer, 505 Acid Rainer, 54 Skate Moss, 8 Double Dutch, 88 Fluff, and 92 Roz Not Soz.
Sorry, Oxford are in the blue, so my paperwork is wrong. And up against them in the white is the Manchester Valkyries. We have 17 Franken Intense, 1701 Dr. Crusher, 18D, 2011 Cal on Wheels, 202 Vixen, 21 Hulk Grogan, 23 MC Slammer, 24 Zena, 3 is Price, 30 is French Bird, 303 is Dusty, 3141 is Slice Our Pie, 452 is Debista. I will get your name right later. 701 is Hellraiser. 747 is Trauma. 75 is Hannah of the North. 78 is Mizablitz. 80 is Apex Twin. 845 is Storm. And 86 is Cherry Skatewells.
Jam 1 underway, and Oxford have taken the lead and scored 4 points already. Liz and Let Die with lead for Oxford.
Meanwhile, Dr. Crusham is out of the pack and making their way around to score some points of their own.
Manchester have 2 in the box already as well. Not the start they would have wanted.
So with Liz and Let Die whipping around that outside line, getting the 4 points and calling it off, but not before Manchester got 3 of their own.
Getting into Jam 2, Manchester still have 2 starting in the box. 2011 Kel on Wheels getting a direction, and number 8, who we don't have on our roster.
Mystery skater, we'll find out in a bit.
With a multiplayer. So lining up for Oxford, we have Thembo Party Killer.
They are taking on Trauma of Manchester. Thembo Party Killer pushing those last few blockers out of play at the front to take lead.
Personally, I hope Thembo doesn't expend too much energy as they're skating for the team I'm benching later in the day. So if they can have a nice casual game, that would be lovely.
So that'll be the Crash Test Brummies, won't it?
It will. You'll get to see the carnage that they bring later. As for now, Thembo's already scored 4 points and is on their second scoring pass.
So Psychosis is the mystery blocker who's out of the penalty box and hoping to slow down Thembo Party Killer. Meanwhile, Trauma trying to weave around on that outside line. The Oxford wall staying strong. D going in with the offense on the inside line. Very quick reset by Oxford to shut down Trauma's line.
Thembo on a 3rd scoring pass, already got 2 full scoring passes and on 8 points.
Meanwhile, that is the first scoring pass, for Trauma.
Thembo out, scored 12 points thus far this jam. Really big hit from Psychosis at the front of the pack there, trying to clear a space for their jammer.
Trauma hit out on the outside line, being recycled all the way back. A hit on the inside, but managing to stay in bounds to get those points just as the jam comes to an end.
So Oxford scoring 15 big points in that jam, Manchester scoring 8. So currently 23 to Oxford and 11 to the Manchester Valkyries. And just for the record, that skater you couldn't pronounce, Devastator.
Thank you.
Like Devastator.
Yeah, but Devastator. I'm not good with words, ironically, with having a microphone in front of my face. So I'm glad you are here to support me in my time of need.
It's fine. they're just words. They can't hurt us.
I've only just clocked as well, but you've said that Vembo Party Killer is skating for Oxford right now.
Yes.
They also skate for Cash Chest Brummies.
Yes.
Birmingham and Oxford are in no way close to each other.
And?
Okay. They just like a road trip.
They do.
Okay.
I mean, Birmingham is such a wonderful place. Why wouldn't you want to travel there every Sunday evening?
They're just doing it for the scenery, really.
Pretty much. So we have Fluff jamming for Oxford Roller Derby and Cherry Skatewells jamming for Manchester Valkyries.
Big hit on the outside line, but that is Cherry Skatewells going for a sit down in the box. So we have got a power jam at this stage of the game, and Oxford have got lead.
Be interesting to see how Oxford do this, whether they want to run full offense, whether they want to just manipulate the pack.
So I think it looks like they've tried to kind of go in for the sweep, but Manchester staying strong and staying in front of that jammer. So just deciding instead to call it off, lock that Manchester jammer in the penalty box, start with the advantage.
Potentially wanting to start with a jammer who will take advantage of the advantage.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not about the points you score in one jam, it's looking at multiple jams to see how best you can work the advantage.
So Oxford kind of doing this one-on-one offence method where each skater just picks off one person. They're now holding back to try and cause a no pack, which is successful, allowing Liz and Let Die to run forward and take lead.
Cherry Skatewell just released from the box. Oxford reforming at the back. Big hit there from Filth to stop Cherry on that inside line.
Both walls here really done quite a lot to slow down the jammers' momentum, so both are trying to pick their speed back up. Blockers are denying that. Cherry Skatewell making some headway up at the front of the pack. Oh, just taken out there by the pivot, who also went off. But going for the big recycle back. Let's playing it safe.
Eagle for Oxford heading to the box for a forearm penalty. And Oxford deciding to call the jam, having scored 3 points. So 26-11 after the first 4 jams.
Really strong work there by Manchester, starting with the disadvantage, like starting with the power jam against them, but Oxford only picking up 3 points with that. That's really strong blocking work by Manchester.
So we have Cycle Path, which is a great name, jamming for Oxford against Dr. Crusher for the Valkyries.
And that is Dr. Crusher getting lead for Manchester. Is that their first lead of the game? Yes. Hoping to close that points differential that Oxford have built up at this stage. Oxford's still fighting for that all-important initial pass. The star is in hand, but the pivot is nowhere in sight. And just as I say that, announcer's curse kicks in, and that is a star pass over to number 22, Skelly.
Is it an announcer's curse if it goes well for them?
Oh, it depends which team you ask, I suppose.
Dr. Crusher picking up what appears to be a couple more points on that second pass, so 6 in total. Skelly picked up 3 after the star pass, so 29-17 after 5 jams. If you were watching the previous game, you saw how much of a nail biter that was. Hopefully this one will be just as close. Of course, this is the season ender for these teams. They've already played their games through their tiers. And it's difficult when you train for a whole season and it comes down to 1 or 2 games.
And I think we've seen it with all the teams so far this season, is the teams that started the season are very much not the same teams that are ending the season.
Definitely.
We've seen huge progression throughout. And yeah, so we're ending the season here on basically the best that each team can give. So as a result of that official timeout that we've just had, there has been a penalty issued to Dr. Crusham, who was Manchester's previous jammer, for a back block penalty. So it does mean we are starting with the power jam advantage for Oxford, with Vembo Party Killer with the star.
Oxford looking like they're starting with a bit of a cube offence.
I mean, Vembo's last jam, they got 15 points. So if they can match that sort of high points jam for Oxford, then they'll be in a really strong position.
Yeah, powerful work at the front there for Vembo to get out as lead. Oxford just taking the time, setting up what they want to do. Manchester with a great sprint away, though.
See, this is really interesting offense, because Oxford are trying to like run to make some space. Manchester are going, no, I'm not having that, I'm running away from them. But what actually is happening is Manchester are just giving themselves no space to work. They're getting out of the engagement zone. And that's just allowing Vembo to just kind of push them forward maybe a foot or two, and they're straight out.
Yeah, another 4 points for Vembo, and a nice little apex jump as well for another 4 points for Vembo. So that's 12 on the jam. Though the Oxford pivot will be starting in the box for the next one.
So Dr. Crusher calling off the... They didn't call it off.
No.
Oxford called it off. Yeah. But Dr. Crusher was still in their initial pass there as the jam was called off. So there could have been opportunity to score some more points there, but I suppose they were having so much fun, they thought they'd share the love, let someone else get on track and give it a go.
I suppose early in a game, in this heat as well, you don't necessarily want to be running 2-minute jams. You don't want to tie yourselves out for the second half.
Yeah. They heard what you said about saving energy for the Brummies, and they were like, fair point, Seth.
I am delighted.
So that is lead assessed to Cherry Skatewell. There seems to be some confusion as to whether she's gotten a penalty or not. So she is being pointed out as lead by the jam ref, but I don't know if a different official did give her a penalty, but she has gone for a sit down. So she is being signalled to return to the track. So I believe this would mean that she is still lead.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, bit of confusion there. And Oxford took advantage of that confusion with 8 points. Very difficult scenario.
Yeah, it is difficult. It can be very confusing on track, and these things do unfortunately happen. But Oxford getting the 8 points there, just having a quick reset.
We're going to an official timeout as the Manchester bench is just heading in to have a quick conversation with the head ref. And this feels like a good time to tell you of our officials. So we have, on the skating side, we have Tiny Tearaway, Jean-Quad Grand Slam, Sui and Stormy as our jammer refs. We have Dino, Chief, Polly, Apex Twink, and Warp Gen. Looks like Warp Gen is our alt for this game. And the NSOs. Would you like to go through these wonderful humans?
Where are the NSOs listed? Because I am unprepared. Thank you. Right. Okay. So we have got as our NSO team for today, Lula, Fear Leader, Sarcasm, X-Rated. We've got Pancake, Great Barrier Ref, Hannah, Mr. Trick, Yves Saint Laurent, and Peacebreaker.
We're back now for jam number 8. We have Liz and Let Die for Oxford up against Trauma for Manchester Valkyries. Liz and Let Die exiting the pack backwards. Always a sign that you're doing well when you can stare down your blocker as you leave.
Meanwhile, Trauma has taken the start off and is fighting at the front of that pack there, having some real trouble getting past number 73.
Another big 4 points for Oxford. They're doing very well at limiting the opportunities for Manchester to score points here. And as we all know, points, while they do make prizes, they also make victories.
But we saw it so much in the last game, though, where just edging forward, little bit of point, little bit of point, little bit of point, and then all it takes is one big jam, and everything changes.
Yeah, it is an interesting style of play, though, because if you're only going for 4 point jams and single passes, you have to be perfect, because when you're only having those small scoring jams, you end up one mistaken jam and all of that hard work's wiped out. Definitely have to take advantage of the situations when they're presented to you. Great dancing down the line there from French Bird.
Meanwhile, we've got Lethal Weapon up at the front, but French Bird takes that inside line and is clear as your lead jammer for Manchester. And that is a star pass over to number 22, Skelly.
And Price is heading to the box as the pivot for Manchester.
Both jammers neck on neck coming out of the pack now. Both of them on a scoring pass. Both got 4 apiece.
This way it's interesting because after a star pass, potentially both your wall and your jammer are slightly weaker. They're both in theory playing out of position.
Yes.
So as Manchester, do you run it against the pivot, hoping that you've got the advantage?
Oh, maybe. Or it could be that they've got a blocker in the box that they're keen to get out the box.
As it was, they took the 8-8 jam. Not a lost jam, which is sometimes when you're trying to stem the tide, it's better to draw a couple of jams and turn it around from there.
But it does seem that they were kind of timing it from a penalty box advantage. So Manchester have cleared the penalty box for their own skaters, but Oxford have got 2 of their blockers in the penalty box. So they're just trying to stack those odds in their favour in any way that they can.
Manchester calling a timeout here, potentially to talk about how they're going to use this 2-blocker advantage in the forthcoming jam. Looks like Oxford are going to be sending out Dembo Partykiller, though, who has 100% lead record at the moment.
I mean, I don't know. Like, you're a bench coach, I'm a bench coach. What do you chat about in timeouts? Like, I tend to talk about who has the nicest leggings.
It definitely varies. Sometimes you just want to get them to focus back in.
Yes.
I tend to call them if we've had a couple of jams that haven't gone our way, just to break the momentum. Sometimes I'll talk about what we're having for dinner. Yeah. Because frankly, that's all we care about.
Yeah.
Sometimes
priorities, where we're going for food after the game.
Yeah. Who's got the best leggings?
Yep.
Who's got the best helmets as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes just like to talk about how nice the announcers are. Hopefully to get a shout out from them.
Oh, okay. I now feel like I'm lacking as a bench coach. I'll add that into my criteria.
Sometimes I'll call an official review just because it means the refs have to talk to me.
Please, I just want to make friends.
Well, it's the one time I get where they have to listen no matter what. So yeah, you keep them talking as long as possible. Oh,
absolutely. Back on track, we have got Dembo Partykiller and Trauma on the jam line. So Trauma has gotten out as lead for Manchester.
Dembo trying to power through the pack. They did try a little bit of offensive jamming at the start to try and slow Trauma down, but unfortunately didn't work. And now they're heading to the box as well.
So going for a sit down for a forearms penalty. This is exactly what Manchester want at this stage of the game. They have got lead, they have got power jam, they've got everything they need for a happy little Saturday.
They have, and of course, Lethal Weapon coming back on track. Was a jammer in the previous jam, so may not be used to blocking as much as some of the other skaters.
And this is the first jam that Manchester have managed to get 2 leads in a row. So maybe that timeout is just to try and keep that momentum going for them.
Maybe. Sometimes it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish.
Absolutely.
Another penalty for Oxford, forearms there to Mental Floss.
Meanwhile, Vembo Pykala is out of the penalty box, did a cheeky little star stash to sneak their way through, making short work of the initial pass, forcing the call off and locking in both teams' pivots in the penalty box.
I will say, looking at both of these teams, the Oxford leggings game is much stronger than Manchester.
I agree.
Manchester have gone for a lot of black on white. I mean, Cherry Skatewell with the sunflowers is a fantastic option. But the multiple colours of Oxford harks back to a lighter time in roller derby, where it was all about how we looked and not about how good we actually were.
Back in the days of hot pants and fishnets.
I looked fantastic in my hot
I
pants.
was about to ask, how many pairs of fishnets did you have?
I only had one, and I just got a few holes in them. Couldn't tell.
Isn't that's the point of fishnets, isn't it? That they've got a few holes in them. They fail as fishnets if they don't have holes in them.
Wait, there's a point to fishnets?
Yes.
Oh.
For catching the fish in your legs.
Yeah, but if the holes are too big, the fish just get through. Surely.
No, because they get trapped in the holes.
That's just mean.
Well, I'm not known to be a nice person.
That's a lie. You're wonderful, Stormy. What's quite interesting in this game, actually, is we have a Stormy on announcing.
Yeah.
We have a Stormy
on track.
On Oxford's roster, and we have a Stormy reffing.
Yeah, it's a stormy sort of day.
And Oxford have got lead Liz and Let Die storming down the inside, quickly followed by Dr. Crusher.
The pack really speeding up now to try and keep these jammers away and clear the penalty box. Oxford catching up with just one blocker at the front to weave around.
Big 4 points for Oxford there. And I must say, as someone who's officiated quite a bit, nothing gets you more than hearing the pack shout, speed up, as an OPR on a hot day.
Yeah, you're just like, no, that's a bad idea, slow down.
Yeah.
You just... Does it count as coaching if you're trying to do it for your own well-being?
No, it counts as cardio, I think.
Oh, okay. So we've got Fluff and French Bird on the jam line.
30-point lead for Oxford at the moment, which, as we know in roller derby, can easily be wiped out in a couple of jams. Maybe even one if it all goes wrong for you.
So French Bird kind of doing this side-to-side motion to pick off blockers one-on-one. It is successful for her. She gets lead for Manchester. Meanwhile, there has been a star pass, and that's gone to 1-3, who is Mental Floss.
Oh, French Bird has actually been issued a cut track penalty from earlier.
Oh, don't cut through the middle of the track. That's a naughty.
Yeah. Oh, and Manchester's pivot is off to the box as well. Oxford have already star passed, so it is going to be a 2-minute jam. Fluff has passed to Mental Floss, who's now completed their initial, so 2 minutes with a pivot as jammer. Manchester with 4 skaters in the box.
But we have seen with other teams, some pivots have been absolutely phenomenal when they've been given the star. So we shouldn't discount them just because they're not on the main jam rotation.
Not at all. Oxford doing well to just keep one person at the back there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just leaving MC Slammer up at the front, just trying what she can to slow down Mental Floss all on her own. Meanwhile, French Bird is out of the penalty box, trying to make up for some lost time, and that is the initial pass done.
Manchester have had 2 more skaters report to the box, so again down on blockers. It's really tough when you start getting into that spiral. You almost have to work on trying to get home safe.
Yeah.
Skelly with a penalty at the end there for Oxford with the failure to reform. It's a big jam for Oxford though, 15 points to the 2 that the Valkyries scored. Takes it to 80 points to 37. It's a 43-point lead if my fingers and toes add up correctly.
I will take your word for it, my friend.
More worryingly is I have 43 fingers and toes. I have a bag spare.
I won't ask what's in your basement.
The other 43 fingers and toes.
So we have got Cherry Skate Wells up to jam for Manchester. Cycle Path taking that outside line. Cherry Skate Wells trying to follow that line through the pack and does so.
Really good lean there from Cherry to stop themselves being knocked out. Cycle Path, who in theory should probably have red on them somewhere so we know that they're a designated cycle path.
Yeah, well, that's just government funding, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like we can't rely on things like that in this day and age. Cost of living and all that.
Sorry, just a nice little hydration break for us here. It is.
Yeah, I realise we're both hydrated at the same time, but it is important for you at home to also hydrate because it is wham.
Yeah, we can't underestimate how warm it is in this building. Not only is it warm outside, it's the same building as a swimming pool, so...
And there's sweaty people in here.
That's just me. Trauma with lead jam for Manchester Valkyries there, powering their way through the front.
Meanwhile, Vembo Party Killer has passed the star.
Interestingly, Dembo blocks for Crash Test Brummies, so they're not someone who is not used to blocking.
Oh, okay. So they're a bit of a triple threat.
I mean, if you ask their bench, they'll probably say they're barely a threat, let alone triple threat, but...
Be nice.
They are wonderful.
Trauma with the call off there, with a bit of a spin round in the pack, getting 4 more points for Manchester.
7 total on the jam, brings it to a 36-point deficit.
Ooh.
Yeah, math. Just having a quick look down the penalty count, we're about 2/3 of the way through this first half, and we already have 3 skaters on 3 penalties. 2 from Manchester and 1 from Oxford.
So Oxford have done 4 star passes so far. Manchester haven't done any star passes, but obviously it's working for Oxford because they're getting their jammers out speedy fast. Meanwhile, Dr. Crusham up in front to get lead. Liz and Let Die chasing around that track.
Crusher about to hit the pack now. Liz and Let Die. Very hard hit into the seam of that 3 wall there. And picked up 1 point.
No one.
But none for Manchester. So anytime you can pick up a jam win out of a jam where you're not lead, that's where the game can be decided. Those points that you probably weren't likely to earn.
I feel like it's absolute bragging rights as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that is French Bird and Fluff with the star. So Fluff just trying to push their way forward through that wall. French Bird doing their weave from side to side to side to side to side, but is hit out on the inside line.
Two very strong walls here. And again, commentators curse as I say that. French Bird finds a gap on the inside and takes it.
Fluff has taken the start off, but it is in hand up at the front. But they are going to go for a sit down for a forearms penalty. So we have got a power jam in favour of French Bird. French Bird, 3rd jam on, and they've got lead 100% of the time they've been on track. They've really proven themselves to be a strong jammer for Manchester.
It's unusual to see a stat like that when your team's not winning as well.
Oh, absolutely. But this is the thing, though. This is why I say with the star passes that Oxford are doing, even if they're not getting lead, they're still getting those points. They're still shutting down those jams. And this is kind of a change in the theme so far, really, for Oxford, in that they haven't got lead and French Bird is able to rack up these points now.
Yeah, there was some brilliant work from Skelly at the front there to recycle French Bird just as they were about to get out and complete their 3rd scoring pass.
It does make sense with Oxford. They are still on their initial pass, so they can't score any points until Fluff or the pivot gets out as the jammer. So it makes sense to keep it going for as long as physically possible. But French Bird goes, that is as much as I've got in the tank there. I'm calling it off there.
Still a big 11 points, though. Takes it down to a 26-point gap, which, as we've said, it's kind of nothing in roller derby terms.
No, absolutely.
This isn't one of these sports where it's 1-0 or 2-0. You know, I don't know about you, but I've seen a 48-point jam once, which...
Was that back in the days of you could get points for jammers, though?
No, this wasn't.
What?
This was 13 passes.
That's literally insane.
It was...
Was there anyone on track at the time?
There was. It was a combination of a former speed skater and some less than effective walls.
Oh, bless them. And that is Cherry Skatewell getting lead for Manchester.
And Little Weapon has star in hand and is being assessed a cut track penalty. That's another power jam for Manchester.
Exactly what they're wanting at this stage of the game, just needing to rack up as many high-scoring jams as they physically can. Cherry Skatewell's now coming around for another scoring pass, hit out on the inside line. Manchester just opting to hold back one skater, now going for the sweep, but Oxford staying strong.
Cherry with a great change of direction there in the middle of the pack. And opting to call the jam there. Picked up another 2 points, and they've chosen to freeze Little Weapon in the box. So they will be starting on a power jam, slowly chipping away at that lead. And it's not about what the score is at half-time, it's about what it is at the end of the game. But it'll definitely be a big mental win if they can get back to within, say, 10 points.
So the timeout has been called by Manchester. No, not by Manchester, by Oxford, sorry. Oxford's jammer is locked in the penalty box, as you said. I've just seen them signal to their bench. They've got about 9 seconds left in the penalty box. So that doesn't give Manchester much time to take advantage of that.
No, but 9 seconds, by the time they've been released and got round, you're probably looking at 12, 13 seconds. It's still a good amount of time to get lead, and then you control the jam.
And so far, in the last 5 jams that we've had, Oxford have only picked up 1 point, but Manchester have picked up 24. So they are really kind of steamrolling ahead now with those points.
Yeah, you can definitely say momentum's on their side at the moment. And maybe that's why Oxford called the timeout. Try and stem that tide, take a breather, get themselves ready, and know that, okay, now we need to push on again.
And it's interesting that Oxford have opted to put Vembo Party Killer on as the pivot, because obviously we've seen them on as a very successful jammer so far. So they could be aiming to kind of do a star pass quite early on in the jam, but wait and see.
Yeah, as I said as well, Vembo is a blocker on the crash test Brumley, so they're not new to blocking.
No. So Trauma's pushing forward at the front, one blocker to face. And that is lead signalled to Manchester.
And star pass has been complete for Oxford, so Vembo now is jamming for Oxford.
Vembo Pie Killer really fighting their way through for that initial pass.
Trauma has completed a scoring pass now, so has 4 points already on the board. Probably look to get as many as possible now and call it. Oh no, Vembo's has got through the pack as well. Looked like they were trying to eat up some time to get their skater out of the box. 8-4 jam. Valkyries on a very nice score at the moment. Oxford Roller Derby 85, Manchester 69. It would be illegal of me to not mention how nice that score is, unfortunately.
Nice.
Nice. Sorry, we are all children here.
We're doing a weird sport where we put wheels on our feet and hit each other. No one is an adult here.
Dodge Crusher dancing down the inside line there, quickly followed by Liz and Let Die. Dodge Crusher, I presume, is a Star Trek reference. And Dodge Crusher is pumped after that jam. They are super happy at how that went.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, I thought Dr. Crusher was like something from like Crash Bandicoot or something.
Well, the only one I can think is Dr. Beverly Crusher from Star Trek.
Ah, see, I'm not up on my Star Trek references, so I must have missed it.
Dr. Beverly Crusher was the mother of Will Wheaton's character.
Well, I know who Will Wheaton is.
Everyone knows who Will Wheaton is. He is the king of the nerds. Oh, Liz and Let Die got a late penalty there, so it's going to be a power jam start for the Valkyries in this one. Narrowed that lead down to 14 points as well.
Although, on a much more important note, you said a blatant lie, because King of the Nerds is Henry Cavill.
No.
Yes, Henry Cavill, King of the Nerds. And our producer Liam Neeson is now saying that we must fight to decide on King of the Nerds.
Henry Cavill is the nerd we all want to be. Will Wheaton is the nerd we've got more chance of being.
Oh, Will Wheaton is the more attainable nerd, I will give you that, but no. Anyway, back on track. French Bird is jamming.
French Bird fighting their way. Only one blocker to beat at the front. Oh, no, two. One just appeared. But they have got lead. 7 in a row, is that? 7 leads in a row for French Bird. That's incredible
skills.
Work.
Up on the toe stops on the outside line, just managing to stay in bounds despite the hits.
Liz and Let Die back on track for Oxford now. Still on their initial, and French Bird is scoring. That lead coming down with each passing jam. Bench screaming at them to call it.
But not before Oxford managed to pick up 3 points of their own.
So 7-3 in that one. 10-point game now.
Oh, it's getting spicy.
I'm trying to think of a joke about one chip challenge or something like that, but I'm not with it.
We can work on it in halftime. We've got like just under 2 minutes left until we got halftime. So there you go. There's your halftime assignment.
I did say, Manchester would hope to get it, if the momentum could keep going, get it under 10 by half-time, and they're definitely on their way to doing that. Big hit there from Dread Ditto to take Cherry Skatewell off track and recycle them. We have Fluff fighting at the front against a strong Manchester 3 wall. Only one to beat, and Fluff gets what feels like Oxford's first lead in a while. Definitely been a back and forth game.
So Fluff up at the front. She has got lead, but it is like she is trudging through mud trying to get through that free wall. Just putting in the work, and just with the pivot now to try and push back. That is number 3 Price up at front, who manages to slow down Fluff but is pushed out of bounds.
Not sure if that jam went 2 minutes or everyone was just tired. But
I assumed it was just tired, but that was Cherry Skatewell not managing to get the initial pass on that. So really strong blocking from Oxford.
considering how long that jam went, for it to only end 4-0 to Oxford shows just how strong both of those walls were as well.
Oh, yeah.
So what should be the last jam before the half, we have Trauma lining up for Manchester Valkyries and Thembo Party Killer for Oxford.
Both really quick jammers as we're going into this one. Thembo Party Killer jumping round on the inside, but they are not alone. They are chasing down Trauma around that track.
No, I think Thembo's actually got a penalty called from the outside. So it's actually going to be Trauma who's lead.
Oh,
Dembo picked up a cut track right at the start, but because everyone got out so quickly.
So that is Trauma weaving round those two blockers up at the front to pick up a quick 4 points.
Oxford with 2 skaters and their jammer in the box as well. This could be a big jam for Manchester just before the end of the half.
So that's another 4 points picked up by Trauma. Manchester creating a gap right in the middle of that Oxford wall to clear some space for Trauma. But that is the Oxford pivot right at the front, 247. Filth putting in the shift.
Big jam, 12 points already for Manchester, and that lead that Oxford had is almost gone.
Meanwhile, Vembo Party Killer is out of the penalty box, hopped around the inside line, and that is the initial pass done. Trauma being told to call it by the bench.
Oh, and 2 more points. Going to take this to a tie game at the half. We said, Manchester would love to go in, having narrowed that lead. They've eliminated it. 92-92 at the half.
It doesn't get spicier than that.
This is ghost chili levels of spice.
Oh my goodness. I'm not allowed to do swears on the mic, but my producer is signalling swears at me.
Fudge and blocker, I think he said.
Yeah, fudge and blocker.
Yes.
But I'm not allowed to say.
No.
But anyway, I'm going to have 9 minutes to go lie down and rethink my life decisions. But we will be back for the second half very, very shortly.
So we are back with about 40 seconds left before roller derby starts again. Obviously, that first half ended with a 14-point jam to the Valkyries, which makes it 92-92, which basically means the past hour has been pointless.
Well, past half an hour, yeah. I was about to say, it's like we're starting from scratch, really.
We are, but with a few more penalties on the board.
Oh, yeah, that is a fair point. So Oxford have got 28 penalties in total so far. Manchester have got 20 in total as a team, so relatively spread out. Oxford have got one person that's on 5, so they're the only person really in the danger zone. They've also got a couple people on 4. Manchester have got 1 who's on 4. But generally, otherwise looking relatively plain sailing.
Just in case this is your first time watching roller derby, firstly, welcome, where have you been? But secondly, after 7 penalties, a skater is no longer allowed to participate in the game.
Yeah, you did too many naughties.
Yeah, everyone gets 6 mistakes. Your 7th is when you're told to go and sit down and think about what you've done. So
that's when you get a detention.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the action now, and we have got Dr. Crusham up at the front for Manchester. Meanwhile, Oxford have got lead. And
Liz and Let Die with lead for Oxford. But Dr. Crusher is chasing them down quickly. Oxford, of course, starting with their pivot in the box, so I want to try and get them out before calling. Pack has sped up. The OPRs are sad at having to chase. So 1 point there for Oxford. Does this class as a lead change?
No, because they were winning before the point tie, weren't they?
They were winning before the draw. So
they were winning before the draw, so we kind of went into a Schrodinger's lead change as we went into the half-time.
I didn't know Cats had leads.
Some of them do. I've seen weird people in my neighbourhood who walk cats.
I think Pavlov's lead change makes more sense.
I can't. But it's whistles, not bells, though. It's not quite the same.
Dembo Party Killer stuck in the pack for Oxford, but Trauma out as lead for the Valkyries, and Skelly heading to the box for Oxford.
Dembo Party Killer going for a sit down in the box for a cut penalty. They're sitting next to their pivot as well, so they can make up an action plan while they're having a sit down for 30 seconds. But this is power jam for Trauma and the Valkyries.
Do you know what's going to happen?
What?
Lead change!
Ah, there we go.
Of course, Dembo and Skelly can't do a star pass in the box. That's highly illegal.
Highly illegal.
Highly illegal.
Bring the police.
Another 4 points for Trauma.
So Trauma's called off for jam, locking in 3 Oxford skaters in the box. So they've got a jammer, a pivot, and a blocker, all in the penalty box, starting this off with a massive advantage to Manchester as they hit the century mark.
Did not think the Valkyries would be the first to hit the century mark in this game, but it just goes to show you, string a few good jams together, anything can happen. Well, not anything, obviously, but good things can happen to the score.
Most things can happen.
Yeah.
Obeying the laws of physics, most things can happen.
Physics is
Bakewell
boring.
up at the front, one blocker to pass, and she does. So that is lead picked up for Manchester as she's making her way back round that track. Vembo Party Killer is out of the penalty box and trying to push forward with that wall.
Skelly going back to the box for a cut this time. But Dembo Party Killer has gone out the front of the pack.
Meanwhile, Cherry Skatewells finishing a scoring pass, sees Vembo Party Killer out and calls it off.
Another 4 points to Manchester. 104 plays 93. So they've gone from what was a 40-point deficit to an 11-point lead.
So basically, Oxford are going to be wanting to close down this momentum that Manchester have somehow built up. So Manchester have just done something in their timeouts and their half times to just be like, no, now we're going to play real roller derby. Let's go.
So they lulled them into a false sense of security.
Yes. They're entertainers, is what they are.
Indeed.
French Bird hit out on the inside line, and that is a cut assessed, so that's a power jam in favour of Oxford.
This will be the first time that French Bird hasn't got lead.
Oh.
Which, when it's coming in the second half, it's just in the last 4 jams, our wonderful producers told us Manchester have scored 26 points to Oxford's 1, which is a big swing, a 25-point swing in 4 jams.
Meanwhile, Fluff at the front of the pack with just one blocker to face. That is MC Slammer holding her back, but that is lead picked up. She instantly calling off the jam to lock in French Bird in the penalty box. See, an interesting tactical move, but also I'm not sure if I wanted to lock in a jammer, I'm not sure I would want that jammer to be French Bird, if I'm honest.
This is true.
Because yes, I know Fluff had to put in the work there to get that initial pass done. Like, yes, she's going, okay, I want to go sit down now. But at the same time, do you want to give French Bird that bigger run-up?
Guess we'll find out.
Meanwhile, Liz and Let Die doing some speedy footwork of her own up at the front, and that is lead picked up for Oxford.
French Bird is out of the box now and coming in hot into the Oxford wall. Solid play from the Oxford wall though, and a lovely transition on the inside there from Liz and Let Die to pick up 4 points.
French Bird has taken the star off, but still in hand with the pivot at the back of the pack, so unlikely to be a pass right this second.
You never know.
Never know.
Skelly going back to the box again for a 4-on penalty. That puts them on 5 penalties for the game. And called off by Oxford with another 3 points, so 7 on the jam. Puts them on the century mark as well.
But this just shows how much roller derby is a mental game as well as a physical game, because as soon as you get into that spiral of like questioning what you're doing or maybe feeling a bit not quite with it, and then all of a sudden the penalties start racking up, and as you can be the best blocker in the world, but you're not helping anyone while you're sat in the box.
Yeah, it's difficult. You have to just rely on the skills that you've been taught through from your coaches and rely on the knowledge that you can do this. Trauma pushing hard at the front there, but Dembo sneaks up the inside. Only one blocker to beat, and Dembo has lead.
Trauma hit out on the outside. Manchester coming in to try and do some offensive work there, but Oxford very quick on the reform. Vembo Party Killer is now on for a scoring pass.
Skelly released from the box is coming in at speed. and then slowed down. But some solid offense as Trauma gets out of the pack at the front.
Oh, big hit to take Venbo Party Killer out on the inside line, forcing the call off with 2 points.
2 points in it.
Ooh.
Dare we whisper in hushed tones the word that strikes fear into every official's heart? Overtime. Long way to go before then, though. Manchester haven't scored a point in the last 3 jams either, so it's been slow but steady from Oxford.
I feel like the blockers on both teams are really ramping up their games now. They're seeing those high-scoring jams and they're thinking, I want none of that, thank you.
Definitely. And also, as the game goes on, the fatigue will begin to set in.
Yes.
This hot, hot hall. Dr. Crusher out with lead and out at the front.
Dr. Crusher with a hat out on the outside line, calling off, denying any points for Oxford.
Picked up 3 points themselves as well.
Oh, 4.
Oh, 4. Of course, one box point as well.
Ah,
Will have been the one they didn't pass on track. But again, only a 6-point game. That's like 1.5 passes, which ironically is what I got in my GCSEs.
How did you get half?
We don't ask questions.
Okay.
We just assume that I'm not very good.
Okay. I believe in you, even if the education system does not. Meanwhile, French Bird have been hit out on the inside line by the Oxford pivot. We have got Fluff up in front.
Hellraiser off to the box for Manchester, and Fluff has got lead jammer against French Bird.
Just 2 Oxford blockers on track. French Bird gets around that inside line with a beautiful sweep of offense.
Double Dutch picking up their 6th penalty of the game as well, so they're on thin ice, or in the danger zone, as we would say. Of course, for all you fans of Archer, the danger zone! And it looks like Oxford are signalling that a late jammer penalty has come in.
Yeah. So that's Fluff
them.
going for a sit down.
Fluff, yeah, got a couple of points and now has a nice little rest. Probably not the way their bench coach would have drawn it up, but, you know, people need a rest.
Whatever you've got to do for a sit down, babes.
Well, I mean, having a chair would be a start.
Well, and where are the chairs? Penalty box.
Exactly. Cherry Skatewells jamming for Manchester Valkyries now. Very different type of jammer to some of the others that Manchester have. They tend to bounce around the track a lot, and they've picked up lead.
See, she was knocked down on the inside. Her hand went out of bounds, but nothing else. And we all know, thanks to Optimus Grind, but one hand down is A-OK. And she knows that. She gets straight up, gets the lead, gets the points.
If you ask Optimus Grind, one hand, one forearm, one hand on top of another hand, frankly, any way he can balance hands on each other, he will try to.
One hand on top of a quiche, like, whatever works.
That sounds messy. Also, why would you have a quiche on track?
Why wouldn't you?
I'd probably drop it.
And that's why your hand's going on top of it. See? I've got all the answers. Meanwhile, with a bit of a spin round at the front, that is Cherry Skatewells with another 4 points for Manchester, calling off the jam.
All the answers to the questions we didn't know we had. No, I'm looking at the wrong game there. Double Dutch has now fouled out for Oxford, so they've hit their 7th penalty and will not be able to take any further part in the game. So just having a little substitute for them. So they've been substituted out of the box. They now get the walk of shame back to their bench to pick up their water bottle and any other accoutrements that they've left there. Then they get to sit in the crowd and cheer like the rest of us. Or they get to go into the shower before everyone else and use all the hot water.
No, you come sit and be a spectator and be a commoner with the rest of us. That's the rule.
There's no one common here.
We're just all extra.
That is very true. Oxford starting with 2 blockers in the box then. Liz and Let Die jamming for them, and Trauma jamming for Manchester, and gets lead. Manchester really starting to pick a couple of lead jams up in a row, starting to extend that lead a little bit more.
So that is a spin round on the inside line to get Oxford out of the initial pass. Trauma sees this and goes, nah, babes, and calls it off.
Nah, babes.
Nah, babes.
I don't think I've ever used the phrase nah, babes.
I use it daily. You are missing out on the joy it brings because everyone looks at me with pain in their eyes and it could not make me happier.
To be honest, being from Birmingham, it's normally, sup, bab?
Oh, yeah, bab.
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 So, full complement of skaters on track. Then Party Killer up against Dr. Crusher. Manchester have pulled out a 16-point lead.
Oh, Dr. Crusher picking up, is that forearm?
Forearm penalty.
Yeah, forearm. So that is a power jam in favour of Oxford. Exactly what they want to see at this stage to close that points gap that Manchester have built up. And that is Vembo Party Killer picking up lead.
Not only is it a power jam, Manchester have 2 blockers in the box and a 3rd queued for the box as well. Not what you want against a jammer who's been doing as well as Vembo has.
Psychosis up to try and slow down Vembo Party Killer.
Dr. Crusher now released from the box. Vembo Party Killer tried to defy gravity and failed. No one can defy gravity.
Don't argue with physics. Both jammers really barreling in now as Vembo Party Killer pushing forward at the front, picking up a penalty.
For an illegal contact, looked like the foot went out of bounds and they pushed off it.
Ah, I see.
So this jam will be going 2 minutes and Dr. Crusher's going to be scoring points. Not what you want when you've had such a good jam to that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So potentially lose all of the gains you'd made is difficult.
Dr. Crusher weaving round just that last blocker at the front, manages to push them out of bounds. So Dr. Crusher coming round now for another scoring pass. Just 15 seconds left of the jam. Really need to make those seconds count, and she does on the inside line.
Vembo Party Killer back on track now.
But I believe that's an illegal re-entry.
It is. Legal re-entry on Fox. Obviously, when you come back from the box, you have to enter behind all of the opposition skaters and all of your own skaters.
I did panic. I thought it was an illegal re-entry on Vembo Party Killer at first. I thought we were going to have like a double power jam situation.
And of course, in the great rules change fiascos of, I think, 2018, they said you could seed cuts.
Yeah.
Which also meant you could seed illegal re-entries.
The times of old.
Times of old. Knee starts, outside whiteboards, minor penalties.
Yeah, we don't talk about those.
Jammer lap points. I feel like...
I'm glad they got rid of jammer lap points, because when I'm reffing, I don't know about anyone else, but I don't have thumbs. It was a nightmare.
I struggled to count to 4, let alone 5.
Yeah, five is a challenge.
Yeah. Oh, and we've had a second foul out for Oxford as well. Fox, with that illegal re-entry, has now fouled out.
Oh. And this is where it can make a big difference, because obviously they're now skating 2 skaters down. So Oxford having a deficit in their roster. They already were skating with 1 less skater than Manchester at the start of the game. They've now lost 2. And especially when you've got this level of fatigue already in the level of the game, and then you're going, well, I've got less people, so I'm just going to need to stay on track and never leave for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and it's not just the physical fatigue, it's the mental fatigue as well.
Yes. If
you're constantly on, you don't get a chance to regroup and forget about a jam. It's very mentally tough. For the Valkyries, starting with 15 skaters, Hellraisers on 6 penalties, but after that, the next closest is on 4, and that's MC Slammer. So from a penalty perspective, they've shared the wealth across the team rather than having it focused on one or two skaters.
But I feel like before, and it was halftime, it was relatively even in terms of penalty share in the teams. But now Oxford have got 42 penalties throughout the team. Manchester have got 29. So I feel like Oxford have just had that bit of a penalty spiral in the second half.
Yeah, and it's difficult to come back from that at times. So we have French Bird jamming for the Valkyries against Fluff for Oxford Roller Derby. French Bird was fantastic in the first half, almost unbeatable on getting leads. Seems to have slowed down a little this half, but as I say that, they earn lead.
No, she heard you and she was like, no, that's rude. How dare you watch me do this?
Yeah, I mean, again, that commentator's curse, or commentator's blessing, as I would call it in that case.
For French Bird, it's definitely a blessing in this case.
Yeah. And Fluff has passed the star to Eagle by the looks of it.
Yeah, so that is Eagle who's taken the star for Oxford. Hit out on the inside line, having to do that reset. But Manchester with a brutal free wall at the back to hold back Eagle.
Some great blocking out front from Mental Floss, though. One-on-one blocking is one of the hardest things to do because you're constantly reacting, but they did it really well.
Oxford now coming in for the sweep to try and get Eagle out. MC Slammer shutting down that line right as Eagle was tasting freedom.
Another 4 points on the board there for Manchester. 12-point jam makes it 140 to the Valkyries and 112 to Oxford. Of course, just for clarification, when we talk about Eagle on Oxford, that isn't Scald Eagle. It's a different eagle.
I thought there was only one eagle.
Bald eagle.
Scald?
Bald.
Oh. But
no, I know.
Oh, but, okay.
For those who don't know, Scald Eagle is a jammer in America who is quite good.
They're all right, I suppose.
They're not bad.
They're all right.
Yeah.
Scald Eagle stole Liam Neeson's Coke at the World Cup.
Is that cola, or are you just admitting to a crime that, like, statute of limitations hasn't passed, my friend?
Was it out of your hand like a seagull would?
I placed it by my feet.
It was.
I turned around and it was gone.
You placed it down, and then you turned around. And are you sure she just wasn't drinking her own Coke? And you.
Where did mine go?
I don't know where yours went, but I feel like there are some wild accusations being thrown right now, Liam Neeson.
I refuse to get involved because I can't afford the lawsuit.
I'm in for the drama. I don't even care. I'll take that.
Spill the tea. I would like to point out the number of fans in the audience has doubled simply because every single person has pulled a fan out. It is that warm.
Yeah, when we say fans, we don't mean spectators who are cheering. We mean actual flappy fans.
Can we not talk about flaps on string, please? I was warned about this beforehand. Sorry, I appear to have broken my co-commentator here.
No, that's it. You're on your own. I'm not talking anymore. Oh my gosh.
I am glad I said this during an official timeout because we can mute it on the VOD afterwards.
Yeah. Fantastic job from Andy from Real Time Events. You can edit this later, right? Like, we'll just cut this bit out.
I was given a specific list of words I wasn't allowed to say and it was not on it.
I never specified that flaps was on the forbidden words.
Nope. And whose fault is that? We do have a bit of official timeout here. Looks like none of the medics are at the table, but one is back now, so we can get underway again. So, just under 14 minutes left. 140 to the Valkyries, 112 to Oxford, so 28-point differential. We have Liz and Let Die jamming for Oxford and Cherry Skatewell jamming for the Valkyries. And it is Cherry Skatewell with lead. I think Stormy has now recovered enough to talk about this game.
Maybe, thinking about it. So, meanwhile, we have got Oxford up in front with a cheeky little star stash to get out the initial pass.
Oh, and it's a cut track penalty to Cherry Skatewell as well. Foot just trickled off on the inside line.
Oh.
Oxford will be looking to make the most of this. It's going to be a 2-minute jam because Cherry Skatewell was lead.
And with Liz and Let Die with the star, very quick jammer for Oxford.
Quick and powerful. It's a dangerous combination when you get someone in space and able to take a bit of a run up.
So with a bit of a kind of arm flaily juke going into the wall. And Liz and Let Die makes some contact, but Manchester quick to shut down that speed as Cherry Skatewell is out of the penalty box, barreling into that wall, making up for some lost time.
But then again at the front, Oxford have reformed and got them and taking their space. And as I say that, Cherry with a wonderful spin and gets out and scores 4.
Oxford going in with the offense, but a big hit down from number 24, Zena.
I almost wanted to say, no, Zena, but no, it is Zena.
Zena, there's an heh in it. Cherry Skatewell's hit out on the outside line. It's only 10 seconds left. You can do it, don't die.
Both jammers on their second scoring pass. That's 4 points for Liz and Let Die, and the full 4 for Cherry Skatewell. It's also an 8-all jam. It's almost as if it didn't matter.
No, but that's crazy that there was a power jam, and yet it didn't affect the scores. Which I know we give a lot of glory to the jammers here, but like that just shows how strong the walls are here that they're having to work against.
Please don't read that joke from Liam, it's terrible. Our producer's trying to ask if you're afraid of Zena, does that make you a xenophobic? There is no space for xenophobics in roller derby. Everyone is welcome. So we have Trauma fighting out at the front for Manchester Valkyries, now being recycled by Skelly, and Dembo Party Killer for Oxford, as Oxford look to try and make inroads into these points with time ticking away. We're down to the last 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, they've got 28 points to build up, and they are losing time to be able to build those points back up. Big hit on the inside line to Dembo Party Killer, but they are back up on their feet.
Trauma fighting through. Oh, and Dembo's got a penalty, a forearm penalty assessed. So Trauma 2 scoring passes down, and now with 30 seconds where there's no opposition jammer.
She looked pretty happy about that as she was skating around. She looked around and she was like, oh, there's no one here I have to like race. That's nice. But I'm going to call it anyway because...
Still another point to the total.
Yeah, there's still points being added. With Dembo Party Killer being locked in the penalty box.
Of course, the Valkyries pivot is starting in the penalty box as well. So, although a blocker down, they do have this power jam start. And they've entrusted Kel on Wheels, who I think this is their first jam as a jammer.
Interesting tactic. So Manchester kind of holding back on the offense. They're letting Kel get really stuck into that wall before making their moves.
It's interesting to have a jammer using their being on as their first jam as a jammer this late into a game.
Yeah, but then maybe we've talked a lot about endurance and fatigue, and maybe having like a fresh set of legs with the star, maybe that's what they were going for.
Potentially. Maybe they just wanted a different style.
Or maybe she was like, no, you guys have been hogging it, it's my turn.
Maybe. Dembo has come out of the box and got lead, but Kel on Wheels is close behind. They can almost smell their sweaty pants from here.
A bit of a spin round. That is the jam called off. One singular point picked up by Vembo, but denying any points to the Valkyries, which is the important bit at this stage of the game.
At that scoring rate, they only need another 33 jams to take the lead.
Yeah, no problem. Let's go. It's not like we've got any other games of roller derby to fit into today. Oh, no, wait.
We're not even halfway through.
Well, we will be at the end of this game.
We will.
Yeah, there we go. 3 more.
And then we sleep.
I thought you were going drinking.
You can't prove I said that. We have Psychopath jamming for Oxford Roller Derby, caught in a strong 3-wall at the back, but a cut assessed to French Bird for Manchester. So Oxford with a power jam, hoping to try and get some points through in this one.
Yeah, so French Bird did get hit out on the outside. She did recycle herself back, but she recycled herself back while still on track, and that's what got her the penalty.
Of course, when you see the cut, you have to be fully off the track. You can't just straddle.
Oxford bench signalling to them to do some offense to get their jammer through. So they all jump into action, but Manchester's wall so good at staying together despite the chaos.
Psychopath took the star off, so it's going to be a 2-minute jam again. And French Bird is back on track, and big gap on the inside, but well closed down by Lethal Weapon.
Really strong penalty kill by Manchester there.
Incredible work. Anytime you can do that, it's great work. But it's another jammer penalty for French Bird, another cut track.
So Psychopath still with the opportunity here to get some points for Oxford. That's the initial pass now done, so now they've got a chance to score some points.
2 power jams, and it took 1 minute and 40 seconds for the Oxford jam to get out.
That is mad.
Shows how strong this Manchester wall has been.
Yeah, absolutely. It's mad. Nearly round on the outside line, but just clipped out by Manchester's pivot there. Oxford going in with the sweep, but the Manchester pivot managing to stay on the jammer like glue.
3 points for Oxford Roller Derby there.
In a 2-minute jam.
In a 2-minute jam. 124 to Oxford, 153 to Manchester.
See, this is the thing though. Manchester at this stage are going to just want to be running down the clock.
Yeah.
Because they've only got just over 5 minutes left and they are ahead. So they are just going to do what they can to eat that time.
Definitely. I mean, French Bird starting in the box on this one, and Dembo Party Killer, who I was hoping would have had a nice, calm game, but has got lead. So, Dembo is now scoring. French Bird out of the box with star in hand.
So that's French Bird now making impact with the wall.
And another jammer penalty for French Bird, this time a forearm penalty. Another power jam.
That's
to
French
Oxford.
Bird's 5th penalty this game.
It's always dangerous as a jammer, because if you get a 7th penalty, you're stuck in there. You're stuck in the box till the end of the jam. It could end up being a 2-minute power jam, and that's something that coaches want to try and avoid. Dembo Party Killer with 4 solid points there up the inside line. You can see, though, the pace has dropped. The energy's sapped from everybody. It's such a hot day. This is where you need your skaters to dig deep. If you lose this game, that's your tournament over.
Yeah, that's true. So we've got the winners of this game will be carrying on to play again tomorrow, whereas the losers of this game will be getting free reign to go to the pub tonight.
Pub. So Dembo with 8 points in that jam, and French Bird did not get out of the pack at all. But Oxford have now called their final team timeout. They do still have an official review that they can use as a timeout if they need to. We've actually had no official reviews called this game.
No, we've not.
Which is unusual. I like to use my official reviews as a way to just chat to officials. They don't get a choice, they have to listen to me.
It depends what you want to chat about, though.
Anything.
Anything.
Sometimes I just like to have a moan.
Don't we all?
Sometimes I just like to get away from the sweaty skaters.
That's true.
So, 4 minutes, 6 seconds left in the game. 132 plays 153.
Yes.
21 points. That's close.
That is a close game.
I was going to say something intelligent, but no, I'm sticking with that's a close game.
But that is some numbers and some maths.
That is numbers and stuff.
Yes.
So,
And that was a very intellectual and educated timeout. Thank you, Seth.
you're welcome. So, Oxford are sending out Fluff to Jam.
So Liam Needsom, who's much better at maths than me, has just said it works out that Oxford need to get 5.25 points per minute.
How do you get the 0.25?
Pass a leg.
Which one?
The left.
Cool.
Has to be the left.
Has to be the left. Okay. So we have Trauma fighting up the inside line for the Valkyries. And we have Fluff jamming for Oxford, stuck at the back between a strong Manchester wall. And Trauma is out for lead jammer.
And that is a star pass successfully over to 1-3, who is Mental Floss. Said that in surround sound then.
Oh, that was a premature whistle there. No penalty awarded.
So that's Mental Floss weaved around that last blocker to get out of the initial pass. Both jammers making their way around town, moving fast.
Trauma there with a little bit of offensive jamming. And 3-3-3, Dread Ditto makes it out of the box. So it's going to be 3 blockers for each team on track. The Manchester pivot, number 8, is stuck in the box. And it's going to be Cherry Skatewell up against Liz and Let Die. Just under 3 minutes left, 25-point differential. That's 8 1/3 points per minute, if my maths is correct. Which it often is, because I'm a nerd.
So that is Oxford going for a sit down in the box.
A high block assessed on Liz and Let Die.
Ooh.
And with only 2 minutes 20 left in the game, that could be decisive.
Meanwhile, Cherry Skatewell up at the front, trying to get past that last Oxford blocker, who picks up a forearms for their troubles, allowing Cherry Skatewell to get through.
Lead, minute and 20 left in the jam. A minute, 2 minutes left in the game.
Big hit on the inside by Filth.
Lovely one-footed work there from Cherry Skatewell as 2 more Oxford blockers head to the box. Merciful Skate and Skelly both picking up penalties. I feel like this jam is going to be the jam that probably wins the game for Manchester.
See, Liz and Let Sky has got star in hand, but there's no pivot. The pivot's in the penalty box. So her options are pretty limited.
Another 4 points for Cherry Skatewell and then calls it. So it looks like it's going to be a 12-point jam total. He says, waiting to see if more points are added or if I'm just preempting.
How dare you preempt? What are you, a ref?
Well, I have many hats I wear.
You've dabbled.
A bowler hat, a baseball cap,
Fez.
flat cap. So, under a minute left in the game, 2 minutes in the period. Thembo Party Killer out as lead against Trauma. Trauma now out chasing. Oxford can stop the clock. They do have an official review left. So it may be that they try and score as many points as possible in this jam. But another Oxford blocker's gone to the box. Thembo went for the offensive jamming and just missed out. And another blocker penalty for Oxford. This time 1-3 mental floss going to the box. They're now on 6 penalties.
See a great sweeping move there by Oxford to clear that inside line, but Manchester just shutting it down, reforming their wall straight back in front of Vembo Partykiller.
Vembo Partykiller looks exhausted. The clock's run out, so there's a minute left on this jam.
But Vembo Partykiller is lead, so
They
they
are.
have the power to end this whenever they choose to, and they just want to try and get as many points as they can. I can't blame them.
I'm hoping that they've got plenty of electrolytes because I really need them to do a lot of blocking in a couple of games' time.
Oh, that's not right now though. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's a future Vem problem.
yeah, it's game 6 that'll be. Ah, yes. D there asking Trauma to call it. Trauma, of course, not lead jammer, so has no option to.
No.
25 seconds left in this jam.
Yeah, Oxford are just signalling to keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, because there's no point calling it when you're behind. You just need to try and get as many points as you can, and that is what Vembo is doing.
Yeah, unfortunately, unless Vembo has little rockets on their skates,
Yeah.
don't think they can get enough points now.
Well, no, but let's close the points differential as much as we can, shall we?
Yeah, exactly. It's always nice to finish on a good jam. Finishing on a 20-point jam there.
And just as the whistle goes, that hop round the inside line to get final 4 extra points for Oxford.
Stunning work from both teams. That in this heat, and it's only getting warmer here, that is a hard-fought, hard-earned victory for the Valkyries. And credit to Oxford, they did not give up at all. I think both teams come out of this with their heads held high, and you know, Oxford, that's their season over for 5 Nations. Manchester will go on to play tomorrow. They're going to have to recover.
Yep.
Guessing some ice baths are in their future. Oxford are now dancing just in front of us and seem to be happy, which, frankly, that's all you can ask for. As long as everyone comes home happy and healthy.
Remember, everyone, it's a hobby. It's supposed to be fun.
Yes, as said by the wonderful Pancake, who is NSOing here today. He is on this crew actually as well.
Oh, fabulous.
So, with that said,
With that bit of delightful insight, I think we will let you have a bit of a break before we go into our next game. So the next game of today is going to be someone.
London Roller Derby Battersea Power against Wiltshire Roller Derby. This will be the last of the WFTDA quarter-finals. Wiltshire were actually in the same tier as Oxford this year, coming second to them. While London, as far as I'm aware, won their tier at a canter.
Yes.
Obviously, London as a league are a massive league.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see how Wiltshire go on. A lot of experience in that lineup. A lot of skaters who've been skating for a while who this pressure isn't anything new to them. So it should be an absolutely fantastic game. So make sure you join us at, I think, 3 o'clock.
Ish. Around then.
3 o'clock-ish.
Keep the stream on.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. I'm sure there'll be like adverts or something.
I don't know. Just go give real-time events all your love for doing the stream for us.
Go refill your drinks. Remember, you should always have 1 for hydration, 1 for staying awake, and 1 for taste.
Your Neurospicy is showing.
Ah, yes. I have, in front of me, I have my water, I had a coffee, and I have an energy drink. So I am going to go and have the jitters.
Okay. Have fun. Speak soon. Love ya.
Love you all.
Bye.